Set up. All right, there we go. I did. Figure it out. I'm assuming you mean the tech setup and not like meditation or life or anything. Yeah. Okay. I did rather hilariously. I had kind of this like where you had like the hairs kind of rise on the back of your neck and you just something doesn't feel right. I had been joking that I was going to end up taping one of these sessions and completely chop my head right off in the recording. So I showed up on the live Zoom, but then sure enough, like literally that day, I went and checked the recording and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I was completely cut off. So now I won't bore you with the technical details, but I can actually see one screen where I can see all of you and then one screen where I can see me, which I couldn't before. So now I know that I'm there. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for asking though. This is what passes for like the big challenge of my life in 2021. How to Zoom appropriately. Okay, so today meta meditation. Let's before I say anything more about the actual sit, let's start with a little bit of getting ready to sit. I'm often, my own kind of I don't know how to put this, predisposition, or like I guess I'm always curious about sitting with people who are practicing in different traditions and especially different from ones that I come from, or that at least I've studied and practiced in, because it's wonderful, right? Like it's like being exposed to cuisine from a culture that isn't yours, natively, or what have you. That being said, I'm always there's a very small part of me that's always super happy that I came to meditation through yoga, because the yogis prioritize the body and movement, right? Whereas some of the other traditions, it's very austere. It's like, brain and then nothing. I just sit. So which seems needlessly discomforting. So let's actually just get our bodies ready to move. See, I'm thinking asana. Ready to sit, okay? So what does that look like? Well, it can, as I was saying before I press record on the session, it can mean a lot of things. So I'm gonna throw out a few, and in fact, I saw, hey Sue, welcome, shout out there to you. I saw you. Let's start off with the Sue. I know for a fact that this is one of Sue's faves, okay? And like I say, this is one that I practice all the time. This is kind of one of my go-tos when I go to the park and I'm tossing the ball for the dog. And in between tosses, I'll break this little move out. Okay, so let's start one-armed, and then we can go into two if you so choose. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let my left hand rest on my lap or my knee, and bring your right hand and bring the back of the hand and tuck it in behind. Now that might be down on your low back, or you might be able to bring it up towards your shoulder blades. Not a race, okay? We're not too worried about how high we get it, but we've tucked it in there, okay? And just take a breath there. Breathing low down into the belly. And then as you exhale, take your hand out behind you. So you're extending your shoulder, okay? And I'm gonna run out of space here in a hurry. Oh, it worked, okay. So without rolling, so it's still palm up toward the ceiling or sort of up, take your arm to the side. Roll it open so the palm is up. I'm playing here with a little bit less space than I ideally would have. Sweep up, okay? And then bend the elbow and you can even kind of just like spider your fingers down your back ever so slightly. Maybe bringing the other hand now up and just giving yourself a little stretch through there. Okay? And then release that elbow. Inhale, and we're just reversing the pattern. Drop, spin, bring it back, and then have it come back into rest again. Ooh, yeah, a little bit of goodness there? Okay. And hey, with all of these movements, so like, I'll give you just for instance, like this, what I'm doing right there, does not necessarily look like a lot. Like If I was to say, everyone hands up, that wouldn't necessarily, people like, wow, big yoga moves, dude. Like, wait, what's going on? But this can be an exceptionally difficult move or out to the side. So just know that even in a little sequence like that, and let's go into our other side. So right hand can now just rest and left tucks in behind. You can always adjust, okay? So if you can see maybe you can see with the angle of my arm here that I'm really tucking. I can take my fingers right up in between my shoulder blades. They're quite high. Like we've got a yoga pose where we can actually connect like that. Not a super important life skill, but if that doesn't feel good, like just drop it down. So see how my hand and my arm there, down toward my belt. Totally fine, okay? Take the arm back, all right? Inhale and bring the arm forward and then scoop that hand up. See, so it's just that, boom, inhale, come up. Exhale, bend down, try to snake those fingers back. Maybe give yourself another little stretch here. Okay. Relaxing everything. Nothing is work, okay? Nothing is tension. Nothing is too much effort. Sweep back. And there we go. All right. And now here's where if you want to put them all together, this is like we're growing wings, okay? So both hands, jazz hands, sweep them both back in. And so here's where I'll actually play with it. It's kind of interesting. Just take your hands out if they're already in. And then as you put them in, notice which hand goes underneath the other. What do we do with that information? Not much necessarily, but I just kind of like, oh, and the next time I'll sweep in the other way, okay? Take both, oh. Like that, Deb? Oh, well, so you know what's happening then, if that's the case, it just would mean that I think you've rotated the one arm around like that or like that to get to here. So what we, in essence, want to do is like that. So it would be like the palm on top, on the, okay, on the roof of the hand, I guess. Okay, but also, you know what, Deb, if that doesn't sit right, or there's another way, or again, it might not even be on top, it might be more like beside, totes fine, okay? So we're there, sweep both arms back, okay? Forward without bunching up too much into the stress position, okay? Turn both hands, sweep up like a little salutation, might even look up to your hands, and then drop both down. And then inhale up, sweep out, turn over, sweep back. Ooh, I got a nice little bonus crack there. And then tuck them in. There. And then just like loose spaghetti. Shake it out. Okay. Our head, our neck. Can you take the crown of your head away from your hips? So literally just like stretch up, okay? Let's take 2 or 3 inhales and just feel like your spine is getting long, but so that you can feel that. If that feel like, dude, what are you talking about? Spine is getting long, spine is getting long. So if that doesn't feel like on the inhales, the sides of your bodies from your hips up toward your armpits are getting longer. And then on the next exhale, so inhale really, really high, and then exhale, take your chin out towards one shoulder. Inhale back into center, exhale. Okay, center, good. Center, also good. Okay, right there. And then if you want to just give yourself, the super slowest roll, nothing, no pushing or forcing through when we're talking about our necks. Okay. And this might seem counterintuitive. You might be sitting in a chair, you might be sitting on the floor like me. If you are sitting on the floor like me and cursing the decision to sit on the floor, then don't sit on the floor, sit in a chair, or lay down, or stand. Remember, we're optimizing comfort for the sick, because the point of this is not to make it a death march into pain or anything like that. Okay, so this might seem a little counterintuitive when we're sitting, but it's just about releasing tension. Take your toe and, again, socks or shoes on are totally fine here, and then toes come up. So just a few little points forward. And then take your toes up to one corner, kind of towards 10 o'clock, and then down towards 4 o'clock. Up and down. And then let's go in the other direction. 2 o'clock. Just meeting someone there. And then down to 8 o'clock. So 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Okay, and then maybe just a little circle. One direction and then the other. Good. And opposite leg, or opposite foot. So point, and then resisting the other way. Point, resisting the other way. Take it to 10 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 10, 4, 2, 8, 2, 8, and then just a couple little circles. And there we go. Still breathing here in the background. I'm not cueing the breath as much with us going into a meditation, but still important. You might want to bring the soles of your feet together and just allow your knees to drop out if that's not uncomfortable for you. Okay. And then tucking, and by the way, I haven't mentioned it, but I'm sitting on a block. Here's the block, okay? Just to bring my hips up a little bit higher than my knees. I'm gonna tuck one, now, Kath, you in particular, or anyone who's got back stuff going on, you might wanna skip this one, but I'm gonna give you the cue to make this maximally safe, or feel good, but if you've got any back stuff going on, this is a twist, so maybe not, okay? So bringing your left heel in towards your right sitting bone, towards your seat. The other foot can come just to the inside of the knee, or you can step it across, okay? But it's not a race. In fact, I'm gonna go into the shorter version, okay? Take your left arm, wrap your knee, inhale to bring that crown of the head up, up, up again, and then a little turn. It's actually a turn more than a twist. And exhale, release that out, switch legs. Right heel, left bum, other foot comes in, wrap the right arm. And by the way, if you get discombobulated or confused in terms of what arm goes where, and again, this happens, it happens to all of us, don't sweat it. No need to stress about, I'm not doing this the right way, okay? And let that go. Last thing that we'll do body-wise is hands. Make your hands really, really big. Make them small. Big, small. One last time, big and small, and then rotate. Okay, and then the other way. And then just shake it out. Okay. And there we are. So hopefully body feeling a little bit looser, a little bit more relaxed. And organizing yourself now in a way that will allow you to sit comfortably for about 20 minutes, okay? A couple of things, and I say this because we've got some people back after being away for a while, or it behooves me to mention, and I don't think the repetition is bad for any of us, but again, you be you. So if, being absolute statue-like still is the only way that meditation feels like meditation to you, great. That's cool. But I would stress that since we are going to be engaged in a loving kindness practice, that you don't, unduly focus on what's happening with your body. So if there's some movement or you need to adjust or whatever, particularly if it's taking you away from the focus of the meditation, I'd say do that. Okay. I guess the only sort of consideration is that it's like a potato chip theory. You know, you have one, then you want another one, then another one, and then the bag's gone. Well, here it's like one little itch can beget another and another and another, and then you're just like ecstatic dancing. Okay, meditation's over. So finding a balance that works for you. Okay. Anytime we are meditating with objects that have an emotional tone to them, I like to just remind people that we're not trying to win meditation. There is no right or wrong. So if you need to take a break, and that might mean moving your body, stretching, getting up, taking a breath, whatever, that's also totally fine. Okay? So loving kindness practice is about sending out good vibes to someone or some people. Okay? So to start, okay, just the act of arriving, getting comfortable in your seat. So if you're wondering, you're waiting for some like bullhorn or siren or something where I'm going to say, and the meditation has started. There it is. The meditation has started. Okay? It's as simple as that. This is not like an on-off switch where life stops, meditation begins, and then meditation stops, and life begins. It's all part of the same thing. Okay? So just taking a few breaths to arrive. Just noticing what your own situation is before we pick anything up that we're going to focus on. What's your internal weather report? What's going on in there? So what's the state of your body? Again, the reason I'm asking these questions, we're not trying to do anything with this. It's literally the act of checking in, which is truly, this is an act of self-compassion. We're caring about ourselves, which is, the necessary precondition for caring about anyone else. So just noticing if you feel any tension that's untoward or like more than you need right now in your physical body. And if you do, release it. So like if you feel it in your shoulders, bring your shoulders up and just let them go down. Okay? Or if you need to adjust in your seat, do that. As long as the kind of yoga language about breathing into your toes or into a part of your body that aren't your lungs, that isn't your lungs, as long as that doesn't bother you, I'd encourage you to take that up. Okay, the idea of sending breath to wherever, just to relax it, to ease it, to let it be. Okay, eyes can be open, they can be closed. Totally fine either way. Whatever is going to allow you to stay with what you're going to stay with in a moment. And then secondly, let's notice in terms of that internal weather report. Okay, hopefully we're not sitting outside, so we don't have to worry about the rain. But there could still be stormy clouds inside. Or there could be bright sunshine. So just notice that, leaving aside the metaphor. What's happening in terms of feeling? Recognizing, of course, that we probably didn't arrange to feel a particular way. We didn't, plan, said, by 4:30 this afternoon, I must be feeling X. This is just something that happens. It's part of being alive. In particular, you might notice the kind of overlay of the physical and emotional that can go in together. So, to give you a for instance, any sort of negative emotions often, at least in my body, tend to present as constriction, as, flexing and turning in and holding. So we can actually work with that physically as well. If you feel like you're gripping, you're resisting, just let that go. There are many struggles out there. There are many challenges that we face individually, collectively. We don't need to solve them, and we certainly don't need to deal with them or address them right now. final point of checking in, and then we'll drop into our meditative focus. So this is our on-ramp, right? This is the arriving. Kind of getting out of our own way so that we can sit with something. Notice your thoughts. Not picking a particular thought up, and certainly not, jumping into a story about this or that, planning or attending to something that doesn't need to be attended to. So whatever replays of your day that you might want to attend to, they can happen later. Any planning for the future, ditto. You can give yourself some time after. This is just for you. All right. And even though I'm going to begin to cue the meditation proper, if you don't feel like you're done with the settling, then keep settling. Keep doing what you need to do in this moment. Your body knows. Your body and your whole being certainly know better than I do. So respect that. Listen to it. Okay. And so there are many different approaches to how we might sit meditation when we're sharing loving kindness. So I'd ask you to choose a person or a group of people. Now, you can decide on sort of the aperture, if you will, of your focus. This could be one person. This could be all sentient beings. And it could be somewhere in between. But we're not going to switch up our focus for today's practice, okay? Unless you see fit to do that. But I would encourage you to pick one person that you want to kind of give a mental, emotional, spiritual shout out to. Boom, you're just like sending them good energy. Okay? So take this moment here. Be deliberate about it. Be intentional. Who do I want to, yeah. Well, so the question was, there. I'm just repeating that for the recording, was don't we always start with ourselves? It's an interesting proposition that, I mean, from an Eastern perspective, like if you were practicing with Buddha, from a Buddhist tradition in particular, yes, the instruction would be to begin with yourself and then perhaps move out into someone who's close to you, someone you feel neutral about, on and out to someone you find challenging or difficult, or like I say, all of humanity or all sentient beings. That's a tricky one for us in the West because I shouldn't say most, but many people find focusing and sending loving kindness within to yourself to be very, very challenging. And so many Western meditators will actually, sitting loving kindness, will do this the reverse. So they'll start big and end up with themselves. Today, I wasn't going to actually take you through any sort of start here and end there. We were going to start and end in the same place. So truly, and Deb, that's a very good point, your focus might be you. Okay? That sending loving kindness in the form of self-compassion, totally fine. Did I answer that right? Or satisfactorily? Okay, very good. Okay. So if I might suggest picking someone who you really genuinely feel would benefit from, even if they're not going to feel it. Okay? This is to some extent about you feeling, and I mean feeling, okay? Not thinking, not intellectualizing about it, but just on this deeper, kind of more fundamental level, sending some good vibes to this person. I've got my particular object, who or what I'm sending mine to, beside the point, as much as it is for all of us. The point is that we're here together. And I would encourage you, if you have someone who is near or dear, even if they're not near, to personalize the things that you say. Personalize the statements that you're sending out. So traditionally we would start out with, may you be safe. May you be safe. May you be safe. And you can keep the words or you can drop the words. I like to repeat them kind of just silently to myself every few breaths as a way of returning, of staying with them. So accepting that we may not have the power to make the person we're sending these good vibes out to actually safe, but we want it for them. We're sharing that concern. May you be safe. I want you to be safe and well. Particularly in these times, these are important words and an important intention. So if there's a particular challenge or adversity that the person that you're sending these wishes out to, you can integrate that as well. May you be safe as you face this. I'm with you. I'm with you in spirit. I'm rooting for you. I want you, like deeply in my bones, in everything that makes me what I am. I'm sending you out this. I've got your back. May you be safe. Good. So knowing that if you drift away, if you get distracted, again, there's no demerits, there's no penalty, you're not losing at yoga or at meditation. And it doesn't take away from what you're sending to your person or to your people. It's just, it's your mind doing what your mind does. So just gently guide it back, and you can pick that back up. Pick the feeling back up. We're going to rest in that. Okay. A second shout out. Now, again, traditionally there are other places that we might land. But But today, what I'm gonna send out, and I would encourage you to personalize it, make it work for you. So if what I'm sharing isn't the right word or isn't the right intention, you can tweak that. Specifically, I'm going to send mine out and say, may you be happy. May you know joy. Especially now, there's, people are tired, people are suffering. And, we're here in this, Groundhog Day of being locked down, being locked in. So just notice that and send to yourself. I don't know if people can hear in the background, I have someone in my house who's just peals of laughter every few seconds, and it's almost like like my environment has picked that up. May you be happy, and I can hear the ha ha. May you be happy. May you feel joy. And notice that this, if you really kind of sit with this for some time, there's a particular meaning to joy in a loving kindness meditation. It's sympathetic joy. It is joy at the successes, at the whatever it is that this person or people that you're sending out to, that they are experiencing. So it may not be something even that brings you joy, but it brings them joy, and you celebrate that. I'm glad for this. I want you to be happy with everything that makes me who I am. You might even visualize the person. You may already be doing that. If it helps for you to hear yourself say those words in your mind, and to then feel with your heart, may you be happy, and see that in your mind's eye. So let's rest here for a few minutes. Sharing that happiness, creating it in a sense. Happiness is not a zero-sum game. We don't need to be, stealing happiness from one to give to another. We're sharing it, we're growing it, we're building it. May you be happy. May you know a relief from tedium. May a spark of whatever moves you come into your life. And again, these sort of affirmations, these statements can do double duty. If they're landing with you and you're receiving them from me, like you're feeling like, he's kind of talking to me. I kind of am. Now, you're not my meditative object, no offense. I've got other fish to fry, meditatively speaking, but it is also true. I am intending that. Okay. It occurs to me that in all of the times that I've led a loving kindness meditation, that I've literally never once said, may you feel loved. May you know affection and love and caring and concern. But fundamentally, And notice this, and really this, maybe that word and everything that's attached to it allows you to really drop in on a more heartfelt level. We're not defining love like in a dictionary. We're not debating it or pinning it on a wall. We're feeling it. You are loved. May the people in your life shower you with it. May you feel their concern that you are important, because you are. That's not a cliche. That's not just words. You're sending that to them, and it rebounds to you. You too, you the sender, are important. They, the sendee, are important. Love that boomerangs both ways. Resting there. You might even notice that, and it's subtle, and it's not that you're doing anything wrong if you don't feel it, but you may feel an expansion, like literally like your heart is opening. Like, again, you don't have to overthink the metaphor. It literally is like an unwinding, an unfurling, an opening in our bodies and in our minds. I love you. Why is that so hard to say? Why is that so hard to receive sometimes? So without judgment, without agenda, without conditions, may you know love. May you feel it. Last. And the last one for me today, it comes out of concern. It comes out of concern that people are tired, that people are frustrated. And it's easy enough to get judging and pushing for things to be over or for things to be a particular way. Let's hit the pause button with that. Let's cut people some slack. Let's cut our person or whoever we're sending this loving kindness out to a lot of slack. You're not perfect and you don't need to be. You don't need to be anything different. But may you know kindness. And may you feel kindness for others. May you feel that deep sense of connection that is in a way unique to feeling, sharing kindness. Whether it's a small act, it's a smile, it's sparing someone a thought. So holding this person dearly, kindly. May you know kindness. May you visit kindness on others. Can we grow this together? let's put them all together. Hold that person in your mental field, whether that's visualizing, you're hearing yourself say the words, or they're hearing you, they're receiving, however that feels or however that looks. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you know and experience love. May your life be filled with kindnesses, small and great. Okay, and a final act of compassion before coming out of the meditation proper. Help the helper. Send yourself a little shout out, or a big one. And you'll excuse me for saving that for the end. Notice how this practice lands or doesn't. Okay? You aren't doing anything wrong if you're not feeling it. I know that I've shared this with the group in the past, that I have found this to be a challenging practice at times. And I find that if I can let go of thinking and instead embrace feeling, and I think that what can tie all of these things together is our own common humanity. That we all want these things for ourselves. I don't know anyone, I've never met the person that says I don't want safety or happiness or love or kindness for myself, for those close to me, for those I pass in the street. So we embrace that commonality, that thing that brings us all together. Thank yourselves for taking this time. And even if it was a meditative shit show, if you'll excuse my language, even if it didn't, for whatever reason today it didn't land right or something felt off, that's okay. It's called practice, not perfection, right? But you might notice, how did this land? How does this feel? And the part of me, the big part of me that demands evidence for efficacy sometimes gets a little uncomfortable at this, but this is the magic of this practice, at least for me in 2021, is that in sending out all of that good stuff, I feel such a sense of relief, such an unburdening. So how cool is that? And whatever you feel, there it is. All right. How'd we do? I'm glad you did too, Sue. It's wonderful to hear your voice. Good for you. Wonderful. Yeah. I think this is the first time I've led a metta meditation where I haven't said peace as one of them. So I'm great. That's great that you went there. And you know what, Sue, for what it's worth, I know you haven't been out in a little bit too, but you've been in my thoughts, and that's no joke. So I'm genuinely, it's good to connect. Yeah. Any other words from out in the meditative wilds? Anything else that anyone would like to share? And not that you, please don't feel. I feel like there should be a support group for meditators who don't want to talk, because often at the end of this is, if you're in a live session, everyone kind of is doing the uncomfortable, like, oh, who's gonna talk? He sounds like he wants us to say something. Just resting in the experience is enough, right? We don't need to add anything to it, but certainly the floor is yours if anyone wanted to ask a question or make a comment or anything at all. Or rest with it. I love it. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, Deb. You know what? It's that I've only got X number of. You know what? If you wave your hand only to like virtually kind of smack me up the. So Michael, come on. Sorry, Deb. I didn't see it. Thank you, group. Mm-hmm. Did you sub it in? Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, and actually, it's funny. I like these days. It feels to me like when I say safe, I mean healthy. Yeah, which again, that doesn't. No one's doing a wrong, or right or wrong there. It's just like those two things kind of. It's like part and parcel. Like but yeah, I think depending on who you're sending, and I figured you might be sending to your mom, Deb. So yeah, like I think there, whatever is in your heart to want to share or to want to send out is the right thing. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I've like, and there's a case in point. This is how it's interesting how in our connecting with one another, that those connections, it's like a spider web, right? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger because, like, to my knowledge, I've never met your mom, Deb, right? And yet, and yet, you've um, mentioned her and her health, a number of times over the last few months. And so as I often do, I think of you, but I then think about what you're thinking about. And so I found myself thinking about your mom, which is something. So, hmm. Here, here. Well, and she must be. Sorry,